Hello users, and I know that I'm making a video about CHAZ, or CHOP. I think CHOP is the stupidest shit. I am not making a video about the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. If that's how you found this video, I'm sorry, but I'm talking about CHAZ, the area formerly known as CHAZ. So yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of boomers, like 50, 60-year-olds that don't understand what the kids are up to, but hopefully you engage in some open-mindedness and you can listen to me talk a little bit here. So owners say police presence following chop sweep is hurting business. Remember what all the right-wingers that did not live in Seattle were saying over the last few weeks? Is like, oh, all the people, what about the businesses? Oh, what about the businesses? Well, I don't know if you've ever been to a protest. Chances are you've never left your house for any reason other than to go to your wage slave job. But I've been to multiple protests in multiple different cities. I can assure you, especially before coronavirus, I'm not entirely certain about now, but I can assure you, any businesses that were near protest zones got a fuck load of money. I remember every time I would go to a protest in Washington, D.C., like at Lafayette Park, down the street afterward, I would just walk down the street and get a Wawa sub because it's right there. And that's the thing, is when your fucking business is right in the middle of an event where thousands of people are gathering, you are going to make a lot of money. But right-wingers kept saying, oh, what about the businesses? Ah, the businesses! The businesses! They're just the small business, the free market. Like, do you want to listen to the businesses? Because I've got some words here from the businesses. Some businesses say the police occupation in Capitol Hill following the sweep of the CHOP. Again, CHOP is the stupidest name. Anybody, and I mean every single person that was behind that name change, really should be banned from optics and banned from social media forever and any project that they even come close to. CHAZ, good name. CHOP, absolute fucking garbage. Like, I just have to get, like, that has to be stated. That has to be understood. Just for marketing, again, if you try marketing CHOP and every, like, 90% of results just get the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. You market CHAZ, 90% of results get CHAZ. So it's one of those things where, again, anyone who is related to that, anyone who agreed with it, anyone who greenlit that, a fucking moron, ban them from any sort of public discourse whatsoever. Like, I'm not saying they're a bad person, I'm just saying they should not be in charge of any social media marketing or management or whatsoever. Optics, they are garbage at that. But anyway, where barricades blocking traffic once stood under protest occupation along Pine Street, now sit roadblocks signs manned by police. But business owners in the area known as the CHOP, say this police presence is making their jobs difficult. People are scared. They're worried. They fear for their safety. They fear for the safety of people out here, more so with the police presence than with the members of CHOP with protesters, said Kendi Martinez. Martinez is the manager of Bang on Pine Street. Her business is behind the police roadblock, she says, that has created confusion and concern for customers and employees. Officers are allowing people past the barricade if they live, work, or have business in the area, but owners say the presence alone is enough to scare people away. I wouldn't go to a fucking place. But sometimes when I see cops, like, in an establishment, especially when I lived in Washington, D.C., you know, like, a lot of the buildings, would have, like, windows and you can see. And if I ever saw cops in a place, I wouldn't go there. Just because I don't want to be around cops. They're garbage. They're evil. They're disgusting. And if push comes to shove, if anything were to happen, I know my life is in danger being around them. So I would specifically avoid places that I saw cops go into, or if I saw them through the window, I would just not bother. Like, I remember one time trying to go to Wawa, I'm trying to get my sub. You know, I'm raised in New Jersey here, so when they built Wawa in Washington, that was a big deal. Now I'm in North Carolina and I'm fucked again, but either way. But, like, I remember one time I saw a fucking cop go in and I was like, I felt devastated. It's like, because I had the thought, and this is the first time I really thought about this. I was like, wow, am I really going to go in there after a cop? I don't want to be around cops. I was just, like, at a protest. I don't want to be around cops. And I was like, I guess I'll just go somewhere else. So I just went to the 7-Eleven across the street. But my point is, that's how most people think. Most people do not like the cops. I understand if you're a boomer, MAGA, loser, Trump 2020, US, 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 TDS, TDS. Like, I get it. You live in this bizarro, like, Western film kind of fan fiction, like, fantasy land, where you think that people love the cops. But I can guarantee you, especially under the age of 35, we hate the cops. We don't, like, just dislike the cops, but we despise the cops. Like, this is something you need to understand. Nobody likes the cops in real life. We're closed because the police reoccupied the streets, said Zach Perry. Perry is the owner of the Dumpling Czar. He says he has only had one order all day. Perry says the hardest part for him is the uncertainty behind the law enforcement presence. I don't know how long it's going to be like this, if there will be fences tomorrow or tear gas. I can't imagine it's not going to bring protesters back, said Perry. Both Martinez and Perry say they had no issues with protesters, though not everyone feels the same. It turned into a nightmare at night, said Stephanie Rivard. Rivard lives inside where the chop zone once stood. She says things got so bad her family chose to stay in a hotel. All right. On her way back to her home, she was stopped at the barricade by police, but she says she doesn't mind. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not going to click that. I kind of feel safe about that, because they're not just letting anybody back into this place, she said. According to the mayor's executive order, this process could take up to 10 days. However, the police presence in Capitol Hill has already decreased. Here's the thing. Was this part of the bill, like a maybe a little, stipend or something, like maybe 4% of the bill going to pay businesses that are going to not be able to open because there's cops everywhere, like putting fences around their fucking place of business? Was there any sort of care in the world for them? Of course not. Now you can make the argument that they made so much money over the 3 or 4 weeks of CHAZ that, they can deal with 10 days of uncertainty. That may be true. But also, counterpoint, we've been in a pandemic for a while. Good business has been hard to come by for a long time. What if that good business finally made some of these businesses break even, and now they're just going to be falling right back into despair? That's the thing. If you are a cop lover, bootlicker loser, you just don't get it. You live in a different universe. Like, maybe in small hicktown fucking South Carolina, you can get away with this kind of behavior. But in any city? In cities, especially, people never want to be anywhere close to police. Right? And, in suburbs and, maybe small little strip malls and stuff, police presences are also pretty fearful for most people. Again, I remember, my mom, a regular, apolitical person, she would avoid going into stores if there were, cop cars pulled in, because she didn't know, what's going to happen. If the cops are there, that means trouble's brewing, or something like that. So it's even a lot of regular people who don't necessarily instinctually hate the cops will avoid places that have cops at them, just because you don't know. Cops mean something will happen or something has happened, and you don't want to be there. That's just what that means. That is what that symbol that for most people. So I get it, you hate communism, whatever, you're like a cringe lord and you don't know how to use Google, so you've never Googled any of these words that you're typing in the comment section right now. I get it. You have some weird thing where you learned a word in 1930 and you can't ever rewrite that definition that was obviously lied to you about. I understand, you're not in the same position that I have, the ability to admit when I'm wrong and learn from my mistakes. I understand that that's not something that right-wingers can do, but this is not good. Sure, this will probably not just, this will probably just be another thing in the wind, but it's just one of those things where, again, you have to understand the big picture. Protests, lots of money. Cops, no money. Really makes you think.